I was just looking for the name of that appliance repair guy. Luke, my older brother, had used him last month when the stove went out. Luke was in the shower. His phone was right there on the charger, screen up, passcode off like always. And I was too trusting. Too damn trusting. I tapped into his contacts. I was halfway through the L's when a notification banner slid across the top of the screen. Family, no Skylar. Mom, just pretend we care. Once she pays for the kitchen, we're done. Luke, she's desperate to be loved. Let her think we are. Uncle Jeff, she doesn't even suspect. Idiot still thinks she's part of the family. I froze. Fingers cold. Pulse in my throat. I read it again. And again. My name wasn't even in the group name. They literally titled it Family, no Skylar. I wish I could say I dropped the phone. Or screamed. Or burst into tears. But I didn't. Instead, I smiled. A tight, bitter thing. The kind of smile you give when something in you breaks, but you're too tired to fall apart again. I put the phone back exactly where it was. Didn't swipe anything. Didn't snoop further. I didn't have to. Those few lines were enough. Enough to split my world clean down the middle. The rest of the day, I was a ghost in my own house. Smiling. Cooking. Pretending. Listening to them laugh and chat like they weren't plotting behind my back. They didn't know I knew. And that gave me power. Real power. Because for once, I wasn't the one being blindsided. I wasn't the fool. I wasn't their ATM with a heartbeat anymore. I was done playing the role they cast me in. Let me tell you about the house. It wasn't even mine. It was my mother's. Old two-story thing with warped floors and a leaky roof. Every pipe in the place groaned like it had trauma. But I grew up in it. Every childhood memory had its roots in that house. My dad left when I was 12, but even then, that house felt like the last solid piece of family I had. So when things started breaking down, I stepped in. Of course I did. Mom said she didn't have the money. Luke was always between jobs. Uncle Jeff was managing the family finances, which apparently meant drinking beer and bragging about his entrepreneurial hustle that never paid rent. So I paid. I didn't even hesitate. When the roof started caving, $7,000. When the bathroom flooded, $4,500. Mold in the basement, $3,200. I gave until it hurt. And they knew it. They knew exactly which heartstrings to pull. The "we're family" speech. The "you're our only hope" card. Even the guilt trip. "You've always been the strong one, Sky." I believed it. Worse, I needed to believe it. Because who wants to admit that their own family is just using them? That night, I lay in bed, wide awake, replaying everything. Every fake smile. Every forced hug. Every moment I convinced myself they cared. And all I could hear in my head was that line. She doesn't even suspect. Wrong. I suspected everything now. You know what's worse than betrayal? Realizing they didn't even think you were smart enough to see it. That was the part that burned. The way they talked about me in that chat, it wasn't just cruel. It was dismissive. They didn't even fear me finding out. To them, I was some sad, lonely girl, desperate for crumbs of affection. I was the idiot who'd keep giving until I had nothing left. And maybe I was. Once. But that version of me died the moment I read those messages. The next morning I woke up early. Earlier than all of them. I made coffee. Set the table. Cooked breakfast. Eggs, toast, hash browns. Their favorite. And I smiled. Because this wasn't about confrontation. No. This was war. And I was done being the weapon they wielded. I was going to be the reckoning they never saw coming. At breakfast, Mom breezed in, hair still in curlers, robe barely tied. "Oh, honey," she said, stretching. "You didn't have to cook today." I looked her dead in the eye and smiled wider. "I wanted to," I said softly. "Just wanted to say thanks. For everything." Her brows lifted, surprised. Then softened into a practiced warmth. She kissed my cheek and poured herself coffee like she hadn't just told a group chat I was an idiot. Luke stumbled in next, hair messy, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Smells good," he mumbled, plopping into his chair. Eat up, I said, placing the eggs in front of him. You've got a long day. He grunted something about errands. Uncle Jeff joined in last, patting my shoulder like he hadn't laughed at me 2 days ago. To them, it was another ordinary morning. To me, it was the beginning of their end. Because from that point forward, I let them think they were still winning. I kept paying. I kept smiling. I kept showing up. But behind every move, I was gathering receipts. Every lie, every transaction, every comment, every manipulation. And they didn't even know they were handing me the noose I'd soon tie. But even as the rage built, so did something else. Something gentler. Softer. Because not everyone out there was like them. And I refused to let their betrayal kill the good left in me. That night, I drove across town. Quietly. No one noticed I was gone. I stopped by a battered little house I'd seen on my commute, run down but lived in. A woman named Marla lived there with 3 kids. She'd lost her job a month ago. I heard about her from a friend. I knocked, introduced myself, told her I had some supplies I didn't need. Grocery bags, diapers, a gift card for essentials. She cried when I handed it to her. And as I watched her hold her baby on the porch, tears in her eyes, all I could think was, this is what family should feel like. You give. You protect. You don't keep score. You don't manipulate. You don't pretend to love someone to drain them dry. No. You lift them when they're low. I wasn't going to let my own family steal that part of me. They didn't deserve it, but someone out there did. I returned home past midnight. The house was dark, silent. And as I tiptoed through the hallway and climbed into bed, I knew 2 things for sure. I was going to burn their fake world to the ground. And I was going to rebuild something better, with people who didn't just pretend to love me but actually did. And I wouldn't need a group chat to prove it. 3 days. That's how long I kept smiling. That's how long I kept letting them think I was blind, clueless, dumb enough to believe their sudden affection was genuine. Every fake smile from Luke. Every soft sweetheart from Mom. Every patronizing pat on the back from Uncle Jeff. I memorized them all like choreography in a stage play. They didn't know I had already started collecting the evidence of their betrayal. Every payment I made, every fake message from the group chat that I screen recorded the second Luke left his phone unattended again. They also didn't know I'd started transferring my money somewhere safe. Sky, we've been thinking, Mom said casually that afternoon, swirling her tea. It might be time to finish the kitchen, right? You already paid for the plumbing, and Luke found this flooring place real cheap, right, Luke? I glanced over the rim of my mug. Luke looked up from his sandwich and nodded eagerly. Yeah, I already talked to the guy. He'll start Monday if we put down the deposit this week. I smiled. That same sweet, hollow smile I'd been perfecting. How much is the deposit? Just $2,000, Luke said. But the rest of the job? I'll handle it. I cut in softly, pretending to hesitate like it hurt my wallet. It's a stretch. But if it helps the family, I'll figure it out. Mom reached over and grabbed my hand, squeezing it like she hadn't stabbed me in the back days ago. You're a rock, baby. I squeezed back. If she only knew how solid I'd actually become. That night, while they slept, I opened my laptop and made the call. No more transferring funds to the shared account. I canceled the flooring deposit. Luke hadn't realized the card was still under my name, and I reported the card as stolen. That froze the transaction. I wasn't going to let them trap me again with guilt or tears. But I also wasn't walking away just yet. No. I had something better in mind. Because here's what they didn't know. I had been designing a quiet exit plan for months before all this. I had dreams. Small ones, like starting my art business full-time, getting my own studio, maybe living in a space where I wasn't treated like a walking bank account. But dreams get dusty when you keep pouring your soul into people who treat it like a tip jar. Now I was turning those dreams into a weapon. The next day, I had coffee with someone I hadn't seen in a while, Jenna. She was my childhood best friend. We'd grown apart when life got complicated. My family didn't like her free spirit attitude. They said she was reckless. But when she hugged me that morning and asked, "How's your heart?" I nearly broke. I told her everything. Not the group chat yet. I wasn't ready to say it out loud, but I told her about the pressure, the finances, the way I kept giving until I had nothing left for myself. And Jenna didn't offer advice. She didn't say, "Well, they're still your family." She just looked at me and said, "Then it's time to stop bleeding for people who won't even hand you a bandage." That's when I told her about my art, my hidden prints, my Etsy page, my unfinished business plan for a digital studio I was too afraid to launch. And without missing a beat, Jenna said, "Let's build it." Over the next 2 weeks, we met every other night. While my family thought I was working overtime to afford the kitchen flooring, I was pouring everything into my exit. Jenna helped me launch a basic site. I uploaded my art.
Clean, bold, honest.
And to my shock, people loved it. I made more in those 2 weeks than I had in the last 3 months combined. People bought prints, commissioned portraits, sent messages saying my work made them feel something again. That feeling of strangers valuing me more than my own family ever had was both healing and heartbreaking. But it reminded me I wasn't the problem. Back at home, the masks were still on. "Sky, the contractor said he's waiting for your payment," Luke said casually one night. "Oh," I said. "Yeah, I've been short this week. Might need a little more time." Mom frowned. "But you said." "I know. I've had some delays." I smiled sweetly. "You trust me, right?" They all nodded. Of course they did, because they still thought I was playing the same game. But what I was really doing, I was baiting the trap, letting them tighten the noose around themselves. Every lie, every entitled request, every false compliment. I was documenting everything. I was preparing to cut them off cold. And then something unexpected happened. The contractor they hired, he called me. I never gave him my number, so I asked how he got it. "Your brother gave it to me," he said. "Said you'd wire the full payment this week." My blood ran cold. He said I'd what? "Yeah, you're the one footing the bill, right? I don't usually start work without a deposit. But he said you'd cover the whole job up front. Family thing. Family thing."
God.
I thanked him, hung up, and stared at the ceiling in disbelief. They weren't just pretending anymore. They were making decisions for me now, treating me like a damn credit card with legs. And something in me snapped. I didn't scream. I didn't rage. But I did walk straight into Luke's room that night, looked him dead in the eyes, and said, "Cancel the contractor. Immediately." He blinked. "What? You told him I'd pay everything, without even asking me." "Well, yeah. You said you would."
No.
I said I might, but now I'm saying no. Cancel it. Luke's expression twisted. "You're seriously doing this now? You already paid for everything else. Why stop now?" "Because this time I saw the bill, and this time I saw the truth." He narrowed his eyes. "What are you talking about?" But I didn't answer. I just turned around and walked away. And the look on his face? He knew something had shifted. I had played dumb long enough. The next time they pushed me, I was going to push back.
Hard.
And soon, they'd find out just how much stronger I was without them weighing me down. By the next morning, I could feel the shift in the air. Luke barely looked at me during breakfast. Mom avoided my eyes. Uncle Jeff kept the TV loud like the silence between us wasn't suffocating. They felt it. The tension. The control slipping. But they didn't know how much I'd already taken back. Because while they were trying to guilt-trip me into another payment, I had just launched a new set of prints on my shop. Every single one sold out by the end of the day. The money they thought I was still spending on their kitchen, that was funding my freedom. That afternoon, I got a call from Jenna. "I know a realtor," she said. "Cute little studio apartment just opened up near the park. Big windows. Cheap rent. Quiet neighbors." I didn't hesitate. "Send me the details. I'm moving out." I waited until dinner. I wanted them all in one place. I served pasta, Luke's favorite again. Set the table like always.
Poured wine.
No one spoke much. Halfway through the meal, I dropped my fork gently on the plate and folded my hands. "I'm moving out this weekend," I said calmly. All heads turned. What? Mom blinked. What do you mean? I found a place. Sign the lease today. I'll be gone by Sunday. Luke scoffed. Seriously? What about the kitchen? I laughed softly. What about it? You said you were paying. I changed my mind. Mom's voice was sharper now. Skylar, don't be ridiculous. You can't just abandon this family halfway through everything. I'm not abandoning anything. I'm just done being your personal bank. Uncle Jeff leaned back. That's not fair. No, I said, standing. What's not fair is you all plotting behind my back like I'm too dumb to notice. What's not fair is the group chat. Family, no Skylar. They went still. Dead quiet. And then Mom tried. She really did. Sky, honey. I saw the messages. I cut her off, voice low. Every single one. Just pretend we love her until she pays. That's what you wrote. That's who you are. Luke stood now. You had no right going through my phone. I turned to him, calm. And you had no right turning me into a wallet with a smile. They yelled. They defended themselves. They blamed me for snooping, for being dramatic, for twisting things. You know we love you, Mom said finally, eyes teary.
No, I said.
You loved what I could do for you. That's different. And I walked out. That weekend I packed everything. Not just my clothes, but the guilt.
The shame.
The years of emotional labor I carried in silence. Jenna showed up with her truck. We loaded everything in 2 trips. She brought takeout and blasted music while we drove. For the first time in years, I felt weightless. The apartment was small, but it was mine. Weeks passed. Then one afternoon, there was a knock at my door. I opened it and there stood Mom. Hair done. Makeup perfect. That same soft smile she used when she wanted something. Hi, sweetheart. I didn't move. What do you want? I just wanted to talk. Can I come in? I hesitated, then stepped aside. We sat. She looked around the apartment. It's cute, she said. You always were creative. I said nothing. She cleared her throat. Listen, I won't pretend I didn't screw up. We all did. That chat, it was wrong. We thought we were being clever. We thought you'd never see it. That's obvious, I said. I miss you. Or, do you miss my money? Her lip quivered. I miss you. And for the first time, I saw something in her eyes that I hadn't seen in a long time. Fear. The fear of being cut off. Not just financially. Emotionally. Because she realized I was finally living without them. And thriving. She left that night with nothing. No promises. No cash. Just silence. And I felt fine. Better than fine. Because I finally knew I didn't need their love. Not the kind that came with conditions. Then came Luke. A week later. He didn't even knock. Just stood outside when I got home. Sky, I'm sorry, he said before I could even speak. I stared at him. He looked tired. Deflated. I was stupid, he said. We all were. I thought we'd keep you close by being nice. I didn't think we were really hurting you. You didn't think, period. He nodded. And for once, he didn't argue. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to say I was wrong. And that I believed. Because it wasn't smooth. It wasn't rehearsed. It was raw. I forgave him. Not to make him feel better. But because I needed to let go. Months passed. My art business grew. I hosted my first show. People cried in front of my pieces. Not because they were perfect, but because they were honest. I started teaching online workshops. Then I partnered with a nonprofit to run art therapy sessions for trauma survivors. Kindness didn't leave me. I chose to bring it with me. But this time, I gave it to people who deserved it. As for my family, we're polite now. Mom sends a text every now and then. Luke visits sometimes. We're healing slowly. On my terms.